there, Freddy. Go and find a cab.
All right, I'll go.
Ow. Look where you're going, dear. Look where you're going.
I'm so sorry.
2 bunches of violets, trod in the mud. A full day's wages.
Freddy, go and find a cab.
Yes, Mother.
Oh, he's your son, is he? Well, if you'd done your duty by him as a mother should, you wouldn't let him spoil a poor girl's flowers and then run away without paying.
Oh, go about your business, my girl.
And you wouldn't go off without paying either. 2 bunches of violets, trod in the mud.
Good heavens.
Oh, sir, is there any sign of it stopping?
I'm afraid not. It's worse than before.
Oh, dear.
If it's worse, it's a sign it's nearly over. Cheer up, Captain. Buy a flower off a poor girl.
I'm sorry. I haven't any change.
Oh, I can change half a crown. Here, take this for 2pence.
I told you. I'm awfully sorry. I haven't any... oh. Wait a minute. Yes. Here's 3 tuppence, if that's any use to you.
Thank you, sir.
Here, you be careful. Better get him a flower for it. There's a bloke here behind that pillar, taking down every blessed word you're saying.
I ain't done nothing wrong by speaking to the gentleman. I've a right to sell flowers if I keep off the curb. I'm a respectable girl, so help me. I never spoke to him except to ask him to buy a flower off me.
Oh, don't start.
What's all that blooming noise?
It's a tech taking her down.
Well, I'm making an honest living.
What's all that shouting? Where is it coming from?
Oh, sir, don't let him charge me. You don't know what it means to me. They'll take away my character and drive me onto the streets for speaking to the gentleman.
There. Who's hurting you, you silly girl? What do you take me for?
On my Bible oath, I never spoke a word.
Oh, shut up. Do I look like a policeman?
Then what did you take down my words for? How do I know you took me down right? You. Just show me what you wrote about me. Ooh, what's that? That ain't proper writing. I can read it.
I can. I say, Captain, ne buy ye flower of a poor gal.
Oh, it's because you called him Captain. I meant no harm. Oh, sir, don't let him lay a charge against me for a word like that.
Charge? I'll make no charge. Really, sir, if you are a detective, you needn't begin protecting me against molestation from young women until I ask you. Anyone can tell the girl meant no harm.
He ain't no tech. He's a gentleman. Look at his boots.
How are all your people down at Chelsea?
Who told you my people come from Chelsea?
Never mind, they do. Now, how did you come to be so far east? You were born in Listen Grove.
Ooh, what harm is there in my leaving Glisten Grove? It weren't fit for pigs to live in, and I had to pay 4 and 6 a week.
Oh, live where you like, but stop that noise.
Come. He can't touch you. You have a right to live where you please.
I'm a good girl, I am.
Yes.
Where do I come from?
Hoxton.
Well, who said I didn't? Blimey, you know everything you do.
You, sir, do you think you could find me a taxi?
I don't know whether you have noticed it, madam, but it stopped raining. You can get a motor bus to Hampton Court. Well, that's where you live, isn't it?
What impertinence!
Here, tell him where he comes from, if you want to go fortune-telling.
Cheltenham, Harrow, Cambridge, and India.
Quite right.
Blimey, he ain't a tech. He's a blooming busybody. That's what he is.
If I may ask, sir, do you do this sort of a thing for a living in a music hall?
Well, I have thought of it. Perhaps I will one day.
He's no gentleman. He ain't to interfere with a poor girl.
How do you do it, may I ask?
Simple phonetics, the science of speech. That's my profession, also my hobby. Anyone can spot an Irishman or a Yorkshireman by his brogue. But I can place a man within 6 miles. I can place him within 2 miles in London. Sometimes within 2 streets.
Ought to be ashamed of himself, unmanly coward.
Is there a living in that?
Oh yes, quite a fat one.
Let him mind his own business and leave a poor girl.
Woman, cease this detestable boo-hooing instantly, or else seek the shelter of some other place of worship.
I've a right to be if I like, same as you.
A woman who utters such disgusting and depressing noises has no right to be anywhere, no right to live. Remember that you are a human being with a soul and the divine gift of articulate speech. That your native language is the language of Shakespeare and Milton and the Bible. Don't sit there crooning like a bilious pigeon.
Ow!
Look at her. A prisoner of the gutters, condemned by every syllable she utters. By right, she should be taken out and hung for the cold-blooded murder of the English tongue.
Ow!
Ow! Heavens, what a sound! This is what the British population calls an elementary education.
Come, sir, I think you picked a poor example.
Did I? Hear them down in Soho Square, dropping H's everywhere, speaking English any way they like. Hey you ma'am, did you go to school?
What do you take me for? A fool?
Well, no one taught to take instead of tyke. Here a Yorkshireman or worse, here a Cornishman converse. I'd rather hear a choir singing flat, chickens cackling in a barn, just like this one.
Garn.
Gone. I ask you, sir, what sort of word is that? It's ow and gone that keep her in her place, not her wretched clothes and dirty face. Why can't the English teach their children how to speak? This verbal class distinction, by now, should be antique. If you spoke as she does, sir, instead of the way you do, why, you might be selling flowers too.
I beg your pardon?
An Englishman's ways of speaking absolutely classifies him. The moment he talks, he makes some other Englishman despise him. One common language, I'm afraid we'll never get. Why can't the English learn to set a good example to people whose English is painful to your ears? The Scotch and the Irish leave you close to tears. There are even places where English completely disappears. Why, in America they haven't used it for years. Why can't the English teach their children how to speak? Norwegians learn Norwegian. The Greeks are taught their Greek. In France, every Frenchman knows his language from A to Z. The French don't care what they do actually, as long as they pronounce it properly. Arabians learn Arabian with the speed of summer lightning. The Hebrews learn it backward, which is absolutely frightening. Use proper English, you're regarded as a freak. Why can't the English learn to speak? Thank you. You see this creature with the curbstone English? The English that will keep her in the gutter till the end of her days. Well, sir, in 6 months, I could pass her off as a duchess at an embassy ball. I could even get her a job as a lady's maid or a shop assistant, which requires better English.
Ew, what's that you say?
Yes, you squashed cabbage leaf. You disgrace to the noble architecture of these columns. You incarnate insult to the English language. Well, I could pass you off as a Queen of Sheba.
You don't believe that, Captain?
Anything's possible. I myself am a student of Indian dialects.
Are you? Do you know Colonel Pickering, the author of Spoken Sanskrit?
I am Colonel Pickering. Who are you?
I'm Henry Higgins, author of Higgins' Universal Alphabet.
I came from India to meet you.
I was going to India to meet you.
Higgins!
Pickering!
Higgins.
Pickering, where are you staying?
At the Carlton.
No, you're not. You're staying at 27A Wimpole Street. You come along with me, we'll have a little jaw over supper.
Right you are.
Indian dialects have always fascinated me.
Boy of law, kind sir, I'm short for my lodging.
Liar. You said you could change half a crown.
You ought to be stuffed with Niles, you ought. Here, take the whole bloomin' basket for 6 pence.
A reminder. Now, how many are there actually?
How many what?
Indian dialects?
No fewer than 107 distinct languages. are recorded as vernacular.
Ow!
Wouldn't it be lovely? Where you bound for this year, Liza Biarritz?
All I want is a room somewhere far away from the cold night air, with one enormous chair. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely? Lots of chocolate for me to eat, lots of cold making lots of eat, warm face, warm hands, warm feet. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely? Oh, so lovely, sitting absolutely still. I would never budge till spring crept over the windowsill. Someone said, resting on my knee, warm and tender as it can be, who takes good care of me. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely, 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 lovely?
All I want is a room somewhere far away from the cold night air, with one enormous chair.
Oh, wouldn't it be lovely? Lots of chocolate for me to eat, lots of cold making lots of eat, warm face, warm hands, warm feet. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely? Oh, so lovely, sitting absolutely still. I would never budge till spring crept over the windowsill.
Someone said, resting on my knee, warm and tender as he can be,
Who takes good care of me? Oh, wouldn't it be lovely,
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 lovely.
How many vowel sound do you think you heard altogether?
I believe I counted 24.
Wrong by 100.
What?
To be exact, you heard 130. Now, listen to them one at a time.
Must I? I'm really quite done up for one morning.
Your name, please. Your name, miss.
My name is of no concern to you whatsoever.
One moment, please.
Oh, London is getting so dirty these days.
I'm Mrs. Pierce, the housekeeper. Can I help you?
Oh, good morning, missus. I'd like to see the professor, please.
Could you tell me what it's about?
It's business of a personal nature.
Oh, one moment, please. Mr. Higgins,
What is it, Mrs. Pierce?
there's a young woman who wants to see you, sir.
A young woman? What does she want?
Well, she is quite a common girl, sir. Very common indeed. I should have sent her away, only I thought perhaps you wanted her to talk into your machine.
Has she an interesting accent?
Simply ghastly, Mr. Higgins.
Good, let's have her in. Show her in, Mrs. Pierce.
Very well, sir. It's for you to say.
You know this is a rather bit of luck. I'll show you how I make records. First we'll set her talking, and then I'm gonna take her in Bell's visible speech, then in Broadromic, and then we'll get on the phonograph, so that you can turn her on whenever you want, with the written transcript before you.
This is the young woman, sir.
Good morning, my good man. Might I have the pleasure of a word with your...
Oh, no. This is the girl I jotted down last night. She's no use to me. I've got all the records I want of Listen Grove lingo. I'm not gonna waste another cylinder on that. Now be off with you. I don't want you.
Don't be so saucy. You ain't heard what I come for yet. Did you tell him I come in a taxi?
Nonsense, girl. What do you think a gentleman like Mr. Higgins cares what you came in?
Oh, we proud. Well, he ain't above giving lessons, not him. I heard him say so. Well, I ain't come here to ask for any compliment, and if my money's not good enough, I can go elsewhere.
Good enough for what?
Good enough for you, now you know, don't you? I'm come to have lessons, I am, and to pay for them too, make no mistake.
Well, and what do you expect me to say?
Well, if you was a gentleman, you might ask me to sit down, I think. Don't I tell you I'm bringing you business?
Pickering, shall we ask this baggage to sit down, or shall we just throw her out of the window?
Ow! I won't be called a baggage. That would have offered to pay like any lady.
What do you want, my girl?
I want to be a lady in a flower shop instead of selling at the corner of Tottenham Court Road. But they won't take me unless I can talk more genteel. He said he could teach me. Well, here I am, ready to pay him, not asking any favor, and he treats me as if I was dirt. I know what the lessons cost as well as you do, and I'm ready to pay.
How much?
Now you're talking. I thought you'd come off it when you saw a chance of getting back a bit of what you chugged at me last night. You had a drop in, hadn't you, eh?
Sit down.
Oh, well, if you're going to make a compliment of it...
Sit down.
Sit down, girl. Do as you're told.
Oh,
What's your name?
Eliza Doolittle.
Won't you sit down, Miss Doolittle?
I don't mind if I do.
Now, how much do you propose to pay me for these lessons?
Oh, I know what's right. A lady friend of mine gets French lessons for 18 pence an hour from a real French gentleman. Well, you wouldn't have the face to ask for the same for teaching me my own language as you would for French. So I won't give more than a shilling. Take it or leave it.
You know, Pickering, if you think of a shilling, not as a simple shilling, but as a percentage of this girl's income, it works out fully equivalent of 60 or 70 pounds from a millionaire. By George, it's enormous. It's the biggest offer I ever had.
60 pounds? What are you talking about? Where would I get 60 pounds? I never offered you 60 pounds.
Hold your tongue.
But I ain't got 60 pounds. Oh.
Oh, don't cry, you silly girl. Nobody's going to touch your money.
Somebody's going to touch you with a broomstick if you don't stop sniveling. Sit down.
Oh, anyone would think he was my father.
If I decide to teach you, I'd be worse than 2 fathers to you. Oh, here.
What's this for?
To wipe your eyes. To wipe any part of your face that feels moist. And remember, that's your handkerchief and that's your sleeve. And don't confuse the one with the other. If you wish to become a lady in a shop.
It's no use to talk to her like that, Mr. Higgins. She doesn't understand you.
Give the handkerchief to me. You gave it to me, not to you.
Higgins, I'm interested. What about your boast that you could pass her off as a duchess at the embassy ball, eh? I'll say you're the greatest teacher alive if you can make that good. I bet you all the expenses of the experiment that you can't do it. I'll even pay for the lessons.
Oh, you're real good. Thank you, Captain.
You know it's almost irresistible. She's so deliciously low. So horribly dirty.
I ain't dirty. I washed my face and hands before I come, I did.
I'll take it. I'll make a duchess of this draggle-tailed guttersnipe.
How?
We'll start today. Now, this very moment. Take her away, Mrs. Pierce, and clean her. Sandpaper if it won't come off any other way. Is there a good fire in the kitchen?
Yes, but...
Take all her clothes off and burn them. Ring up and order new ones. Just wrap her in brown paper till they come.
You're no gentleman, you're not to talk of such things. I'm a good girl, I am, and I know what the likes of you are, I do.
We want none of your slum prudery here, young woman. You've got to learn to behave like a duchess. Now, take her away, Mrs. Pierce, and if she gives you any trouble, wallop her.
I'll call the police, I will.
But I've got no place to put her.
Well, put her in the dustbin.
How?
Come, Higgins, be reasonable.
You must be reasonable, Mr. Higgins. Really, you must. You can't walk over everybody like this.
I? Walk over everybody? My dear Mrs. Pierce, my dear Pickering, I had no intention of walking over anybody. I merely suggested that we should be kind to this poor girl. I didn't express myself clearly because I didn't wish to hurt her delicacy. Or yours.
But, sir, you can't take a girl up like that as if you were picking up a pebble on the beach.
Well, why not?
Why not? But you don't know anything about her. What about her parents? She may be married.
Gone.
Gone, as the girl very popularly says.
Who'd marry me?
By George, Eliza, the streets will be strewn with the bodies of men, shooting themselves for your sake before I'm done with ya.
Yeah, I'm going. He's off his chump, he is. I don't want the bomb he's teaching me.
Oh, mad am I. All right, Mrs. Pierce, don't ring up and order those new clothes. Throw her out.
Stop, Mr. Higgins. I won't allow it. Go home to your parents, girl.
I ain't got no parents.
Well, there you are. She ain't got no parents. What's all the fuss about? Nobody wants her. She's no use to anybody but me. So take her.
But what's to become of her? Is she to be paid anything? Oh, do be sensible, sir.
What would she do with money? She'll have her food and her clothes. She'll only drink if you give her money.
Oh, you're a brute. It's a lie. Nobody ever saw the sign of liquor on me. Oh, sir, you're a gentleman. Don't let him speak to me like that.
Does it occur to you, Higgins? The girl has some feelings.
Oh, no, I don't think so. No feelings we need to be worried about. Well, have you, Eliza?
I got me feelings the same as anyone else.
Mr. Higgins, I must know on what terms the girl is to be here. What's to become of her when you finish your teaching? You must look ahead a little, sir.
What's to become of her if we leave in the gutter? Answer me that, Mrs. Pierce.
That's her own business, not yours, Mr. Higgins.
Well, when I'm done with her, we'll throw her back in the gutter. And then it will be her own business again. That'll be all right, won't it, Mrs. Pierce?
You have no feeling, harden you. You don't care for nothing but yourself. Yeah, I've had enough of this. I'm going, I am. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, you ought.
Have some chocolates, Eliza.
How do I know what might be in them? I've heard of girls getting drugged by the likes of you.
A pledge of good faith. I'll take one half, and you take the other. You'll have boxes of them, barrels of them every day. You'll live on them, eh?
I wouldn't have ate it. Only I'm too ladylike to take it out of my mouth.
Think of it, Eliza. Think of chocolates and taxis and gold and diamonds.
How? I don't want no gold and no diamonds. I'm a good girl, I am.
Higgins, I really must interfere. Mrs. Pierce is quite right. If this girl is going to put herself in your hands for 6 months for an experiment in teaching, she must understand thoroughly what she's doing.
Eliza, you are to stay here for the next 6 months, learning how to speak beautifully, like a lady in a florist shop. If you're good and do whatever you are told, you shall sleep in a proper bedroom, have lots to eat, and money to buy chocolates and take rides in taxis. But if you are naughty and idle, you shall sleep in the back kitchen amongst the black beetle and be walloped by Mrs. Pierce with a broomstick. At the end of 6 months, you shall be taken to Buckingham Palace in a carriage, beautifully dressed. If the king finds out you're not a lady, the police will take you to the Tower of London, where your head will be cut off, as a warning to other presumptuous flower girls. But if you are not found out, you shall have a present of 7 and 6 to start life with, as a lady in a shop. If you refuse this offer, you will be the most ungrateful, wicked girl, and the angels will weep for you. Now, are you satisfied, Pickering?
I don't understand a word you're talking about.
Well, could I put it more plainly or fairly, Mrs. Pierce?
Come with me, Eliza.
That's right, Mrs. Pierce. Bundle her off to the bathroom.
You're a great bully, you are. I won't stay here if I don't like it, and I won't let nobody wallop me.
Don't answer back, girl.
If I'd known what I've let myself in for, I wouldn't have come here. I've always been a good girl. I haven't and won't be put upon.
In 6 months, in 3 if she has a good ear and a quick tongue, I'll take her anywhere and I'll pass her off as anything. I'll make a queen of that barbarous wretch.
I've never had a bath in my life. Not what you'd call a proper one.
You know, you can't be a nice girl inside if you're dirty outside. I'll have to put you in here. This will be your bedroom.
Oh, couldn't sleep here, missus. It's too good for the likes of me. I shall be afraid to touch anything. I ain't a duchess yet, you know. Ooh, what's this? This where you wash clothes?
This is where we wash ourselves, Eliza, and where I'm going to wash you.
You expect me to get into that and wet myself all over? Not me, I shall catch my death.
Come along now. Come along, take your clothes off. Come on, girl, do as you're told. Take your clothes off. Here, come on, girls.
How? Get your hands off me. No, I won't. Let go of me. I'm a good girl, I am. It ain't right. It ain't decent. I'm a good girl, I am.
Higgins, forgive the bluntness, but if I am to be in this business, I shall feel responsible for the girl. I hope it's clearly understood that no advantage is to be taken of a position.
What? That thing? Sacred, I assure you.
Come now, Higgins, you know what I mean. This is no trifling matter. Are you a man of good character where women are concerned?
Have you ever met a man of good character where women are concerned?
Yes, very frequently.
Well, I haven't. I find that the moment I let a woman make friends with me, she becomes jealous, exacting, suspicious, and a damn nuisance. And I find that the moment that I make friends with a woman, I become selfish and tyrannical. So here I am, a confirmed old bachelor and likely to remain so. Well, after all, Pickering, I'm an ordinary man who desires nothing more than just an ordinary chance to live exactly as he likes and do precisely what he wants. An average man am I, of no eccentric whim, who likes to live his life, free of strife, doing whatever he thinks is best for him. Well, just an ordinary man. But let a woman in your life, and your serenity is true. She'll redecorate your home from cellar to the dome and then go to the enthralling fun of overhauling you. let a woman in your life, and you're up against a wall. Make a plan and you will find she has something else in mind, and so rather than do either, you do something else that neither likes at all. You want to talk of Keats or Milton, she only wants to talk of love. You go to say a play or a ballet, and spend it searching for her glove. Let a woman in your life, and you invite eternal strife. Let them buy their wedding bands for those anxious little hands. I'd be equally as willing for a dentist to be drilling than to ever let a woman in my life. I'm a very gentle man, even-tempered and good-natured, whom you never hear complain, who has the milk of human kindness by the quart in every vein. A patient man am I, down to my fingertips, the sort who never could, never would, let an insulting remark escape his lips. A very gentle man. But let a woman in your life, and your patience hasn't got a chance. She will beg you for advice, your reply will be concise, and she'll listen very nicely and then go out and do precisely what she wants. You were a man of grace and polish, who never spoke above a hush. Now all at once you're using language that would make a sailor blush. Let a woman in your life, and you're plunging in a knife. Let the others of my sex tie the knot around their neck. I'd prefer a new edition of the Spanish Inquisition than to ever let a woman in my life. I'm a quiet living man who prefers to spend the evening in the silence of his room, who likes an atmosphere as restful as an undiscovered tomb. A pensive man am I, of philosophical jaws, who likes to meditate, contemplate, free from humanity's inhuman noise. A quiet living man. But let a woman in your life, and your sabbatical is true. In a line that never ends comes an army of her friends, come to jabber and to chatter and to tell her what the matter is with you. She'll have a booming, boisterous family who will descend on you en masse. She'll have a large Wagnerian mother with a voice that shatters glass. Let a woman in your life, let a woman in your life. I shall never let a woman in my life.
The mail, sir.
Oh, pay the bills and say no to the invitations.
You simply cannot go on working the girl this way, making her say her alphabet over and over, from sun up to sundown, even during meals. You'll exhaust yourself. When will it stop?
Say your vowels.
I know my vowels. I knew them before I come.
If you know them, say them.
A, I, O, U.
Stop! A, E, I, O, U.
That's what I said. A, I, O, U. That's what I've been saying for 3 days, and I won't say them no more.
I know it's difficult, Miss Doolittle, but try to understand.
It's no use explaining, Pickering. As a military man, you ought to know that. Drilling is what she needs. Now you leave her alone or she'll be turning to you for sympathy.
Very well, if you insist. But have a little patience with her, Higgins.
Of course. Now say, A,
You ain't got no art, you ain't.
A,
I,
A, A. Eliza, I promise you'll say your vowels correctly before this day is out, or there'll be no lunch, no dinner, and no chocolates. All right, Eliza, say it again.
The rind in spine stays mainly in the plain.
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain.
Didn't I say that?
No, Eliza, you didn't say that. You didn't even say that. Now, every morning where you used to say your prayers, I want you to say, the rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. 50 times. You'll get much further with the Lord if you learn not to offend his ears. Oh, Pickering, this is going to be ghastly.
Control yourself, Higgins. Give the girl a chance.
Well, I suppose you can't expect her to get it right for the first time. Come here, Eliza. Again, Eliza. How kind of you to let me come.
How kind of you to let me come.
No. Kind of you. How kind of you to let me come.
How kind of you to let me come.
No. Kind of you. It's like cup of tea. Say, cup of tea.
Cup of tea.
No. A cup of tea. Awfully good cake this is. I wonder where Mrs. P.S. gets it.
First rate. And the strawberry tarts are delicious. Did you try the plain cake?
Try it again.
Did you try the plain...
Pickering! Again, Eliza.
Cup of tea.
Oh no. Can't you hear the difference? Put your tongue forward until it squeezes on the top of your lower teeth. And then say, cup.
Cup.
Then say, of.
Of.
Then say, cup, of. Cup, of.
Cup of.
By Jove, Higgins, that was a glorious tea. Why don't you finish that last strawberry tart? I couldn't eat another thing.
Oh, I couldn't touch it.
Shame to waste it.
Oh, it won't be wasted. I know of someone who's immensely fond of strawberry tarts. Chip.
Quit, Professor Higgins. Hear our plea of pity, we will quit. Professor Higgins. In our town, oh, not down, bounding in our brain. In our town, oh, not down, don't say right, say right.
4, 5, 6 marbles. Now, I want you to read this, and I want you to enunciate every word, just as if the marbles were not in your mouth. With blackest moss, the flower pots were thickly crusted, one and all. Each word clear as a bell.
With blackest moss, the flower pots. I can't.
I say, Higgins, are those pebbles really necessary?
If they were necessary for Demosthenes, they are necessary for Eliza Doolittle. Go on, Eliza.
With blackest moss, the flower pots.
I can't understand a word. Not a word.
With blackest moss, the flower pots.
Higgins, perhaps that poem's a little too difficult for the girl. Why don't you try something simpler, like the Owl and the Pussycat? Oh yes, that's a charming one.
Pickering, I can't hear a word the girl is saying. What's the matter?
I think I swallowed one.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I've got plenty more. Open your mouth. 1, 2. The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain.
I can't. I'm so tired.
For God's sake, Higgins, it must be 3 o'clock in the morning. Do be reasonable.
I am always reasonable. Eliza, if I can go on with a blistering headache, you can.
I got an headache too.
Oh, here. I know your head aches. I know you're tired. I know your nerves are as raw as meat in a butcher's window. But think what you're trying to accomplish. Just think what you're dealing with. The majesty and grandeur of the English language. It's the greatest possession we have. The noblest thought that ever flowed through the hearts of men are contained in its extraordinary, imaginative, and musical mixtures of sounds. And that's what you set yourself out to conquer, Eliza. And conquer it, you will. Now, try it again, Eliza.
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain.
What was that?
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain.
Again?
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain.
I think she's got it. I think she's got it.
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain.
By George, she's got it. By George, she's got it. Now once again, where does it rain?
On the plain, on the plain.
And where's that soggy plain?
In Spain, in Spain.
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain.
In Hertford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
Hurricanes hardly happen. How kind of you to let me come.
Now once again, where does it rain?
On the plain, on the plain.
And where's that blasted plain?
In Spain, in Spain.
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain.
Oh dear.
Ah, we're making fine progress, Pickering. I think the time has come to try her out.
Are you feeling all right, Mr. Higgins?
Yes, I'm feeling fine, Mrs. Pierce. How are you?
Very well, sir, thank you.
Oh, good. Let's test her in public and see how she fares.
Mr. Higgins, I was awakened by a dreadful pounding. Do you know what it might have been?
Pounding? I didn't hear any pounding. Did you, Pickering?
No.
Now, if this goes on, Mrs. Pierce, you better see a doctor. I know we'll take her to the races.
The races?
My mother's box at Ascot.
You'll consult your mother first, of course.
Oh, yes, of course. No. I think perhaps we'd better surprise her. Now let's go to bed. First thing in the morning, we'll go out and we'll buy her a dress. Now get on with your work, Eliza.
But Mr. Higgins, it's early in the morning.
What better time to work than early in the morning? Now where does one buy a lady's gown?
Whiteley's, of course.
How do you know that?
Common knowledge.
Huh. Let's not buy her anything too flowery. I despise those gowns with sort of weeds here and weeds there. I want to buy something sort of simple, modest, and elegant is what's called for. Perhaps with a bow. Yes, I think that's just right.
You've all been working much too hard. I think the strain is beginning to show. Eliza, I don't care what Mr. Higgins says. You must put down your books and go to bed.
Bed, couldn't go to bed. My head's too light to try to set it down. Sleep, I couldn't sleep tonight. Not for all the jewels in the crown. I could have danced all night. I could have danced all night. And still I've begged for more. I could have spread my wings and done 1,000 things I've never done before. I never know what made it so exciting. Why all at once my heart took flight. I only know
have spread my wings and done 1,000 things I've never done before. I never know what made it so exciting. Why all at once my heart took flight. I only know when he began to dance with me. I could have danced all night.
I understand, dear. It's all been grand, dear. But now it's time to sleep.
I could have danced all night. I could have danced all night and still have begged for more. I could have spread my wings and done 1,000 things I never done before. I never know what made it so exciting. Why all at once my heart took flight. I only know when he began to dance with me. I could have danced
Mother?
Henry, what a disagreeable surprise.
Hello, Mother. How nice you look.
What are you doing here? You promised never to come to Ascot. Go home at once.
I can't, Mother. I'm here on business.
Oh no, Henry, you mustn't. I'm quite serious. You'll offend all my friends. The moment they meet you, I never see them again. Besides, you're not even dressed for Ascot?
I changed my shirt. Now listen, mother. I've got a job for you. A phonetics job. I picked up a girl.
Henry?
Oh no, dear, not a love affair. She's a flower girl. I'm taking her to the annual embassy ball, but I wanted to try her out first.
I beg your pardon?
Well, you know the embassy ball.
Of course I know the ball.
So I invited her to your box today. Do you understand?
A common flower girl?
Oh, it's alright. I taught her how to speak properly. She has strict instructions as to her behavior. She's to keep to two subjects, the weather and everybody's health. Fine day and how do you do? And not just let herself go on things in general. Help her along, darling. You'll be quite safe.
Safe? To talk about one's health in the middle of a race?
Well, you've got to talk about something.
Where's the girl now?
She's being pinned. Some of her clothes we bought didn't quite fit her. I told Pickering we should have taken her with us.
Ah, Mrs. Eynsford Hill.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Higgins.
You know my son, Henry?
How do you do?
I've seen you somewhere before.
I don't know.
Oh, it doesn't matter. You better sit down.
Lady Boxington.
Now, where the devil can they be? Ah!
Colonel Pickering, you're just in time for tea.
Thank you, Mrs. Higgins. May I introduce Miss Eliza Doolittle?
My dear Miss Doolittle.
How kind of you to let me come.
Delighted, my dear. Lady Boxington.
How do you do?
Mrs. Eynsford Hill. Miss Doolittle.
How do you do?
How do you do?
And Freddie Eynsford Hill.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Miss Doolittle.
Good afternoon, Professor Higgins.
The first race was very exciting, Miss Doolittle. I'm so sorry that you missed it.
Will it rain, do you think?
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. But in Hereford and Hampshire, hurricanes hardly ever happen.
Ha ha, how awfully funny.
What is wrong with that young man? I bet I got it right.
Smashing.
Hasn't it suddenly turned chilly?
I do hope we won't have any unseasonable cold spells. They bring on so much influenza.
My aunt died of influenza, so they said. But it's my belief they done the old woman in.
Done her in?
Yes, Lord love you. Why would she die of influenza when she come through diphtheria right enough the year before? Fairly blue with it she was. They all thought she was dead. But my father, he kept ladling gin down her throat.
Oh!
Then she come to so sudden, she bit the bowl off the spoon.
Oh, dear me.
Now, what call would a woman with that strength in her have to die of influenza? And what become of a new straw hat that should have come to me? Somebody pinched it. And what I say is, them as pinched it, done her in.
Done her in? Done her in, did you say? Whatever does it mean?
Ah, now that's the new small talk. To done somebody in means to kill them.
But you surely don't believe your aunt was killed?
Do I not? Them she lived with would have killed her for a hat pin, let alone a hat.
But it can't have been right for your father to pour spirits down her throat like that. It might have killed her.
Not her. Gin was mother's milk to her. Besides, he had poured so much down his own throat, he knew the good of it.
Did you mean that he drank?
Drank? My word, something chronic. Here, what are you sniggering at?
It's the new small talk. You do it so awfully well.
Well, if I was doing it proper, what was you sniggering at? Have I said something I oughtn't?
Oh no.
Not at all, my dear.
Well, that's a mercy anyhow.
What? Yes. Oh, yes. I don't know whether there's enough time before the next race to place a bet. But come, my dear.
I don't suppose so.
I have a bet on number 7. I should be so happy if you would take it. You will enjoy the race ever so much more.
That's very kind of you.
His name is Dover.
Come along, my dear. Come along.
Come on. Come on, Dover. Come on. Come on, Dover. Come on. Come on, Dover. Move your bloomin' horse.
quite serious, Henry. You don't expect to take her to the embassy ball.
Don't you think she's ready for it?
Dear Henry, she's ready for a canal barge.
Well, her language may need a little refining, but her...
Oh, really, Henry? If you cannot see how impossible this whole project is, then you must be absolutely potty about her. I advise you to give it up now and not put yourself and this poor girl through any more.
Give it up? Why, it's the most fascinating venture I've ever undertaken. Pickering and I are at it from morning to night. It fills our whole lives. Teaching Eliza, talking to Eliza, listening to Eliza, dressing Eliza.
What? You're a pretty pair of babies playing with your live doll. Ah, here's the car.
It really is, Higgins. It's inhuman to continue. Do you realize what you've got to try and teach this poor girl within 6 weeks? You've got to teach her talk, walk, address a duke, a lord, a bishop, an ambassador. It's absolutely impossible. Higgins, I'm trying to tell you that I want to call off the bet. I know you're a stubborn man, but so am I. This experiment is over, and nothing short of an order from the king could force me to recant. Perhaps you'd excuse me. Do you understand, Higgins? It's over. Higgins. If there's any mishap at the embassy tonight, if Miss Doolittle suffers any embarrassment, whatever, it will be on your head alone.
Eliza can do anything.
Suppose she's discovered. Remember, Ascot? Suppose she makes another ghastly mistake.
There'll be no horses at the ball, Pickering.
Think how agonizing it would be. Oh, if anything happened tonight, I don't know what I'd do.
Well, you could always rejoin your regiment.
This is no time for flippancy, Higgins. The way you've driven the girl in the last 6 weeks has exceeded all bounds of common decency. For God's sake, Higgins, stop pacing up and down. Can't you settle somewhere?
Have some port. It'll quieten your nerves.
I'm not nervous. Where is it?
On the piano.
The car is here, sir.
Oh, good. Tell Miss Doolittle, please.
Yes, sir.
Tell Miss Doolittle, indeed. I bet you that damn gown doesn't fit. I warned you about these French designers. We should have gone to a good English shop, where we'd have known that everyone would have been on our side. Have a glass of port?
No, thank you.
Are you so sure this girl will retain everything you've hammered into her?
Well, we shall see.
Suppose she doesn't?
I'll lose my bet.
Higgins, it's one thing I can't stand about you. That's your confounded complacency. At a moment like this, with so much at stake, it's utterly indecent that you don't need a glass of port. And what about the girl? You act as though she doesn't matter at all.
Oh, rubbish, Pickering. Of course she matters. What do you think I've been doing all these months? What could possibly matter more than to take a human being and change her into a different human being by creating a new speech for her? It's filling up the deepest gap that separates class from class and soul from soul. Oh, she matters immensely.
Miss Doolittle, you look beautiful.
Thank you, Colonel Pickering.
Don't you think so, Higgins?
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Viscount and Viscountess Sanson, the Baron and Baroness of Yalters, Sir Guy and Lady Scott Acton, the Count and Countess de Maury, Viscount and Viscountess Hilliard, Mr. and Mrs. Richard Lancer, Lord and Lady Clangdon.
Colonel Pickering, Miss Eliza Doolittle.
Miss Eliza Doolittle, Colonel Pickering, Professor Higgins. Good evening, Miss Eliza.
Your Excellency.
Miss Doolittle.
How do you do?
Good evening, Colonel.
Good evening.
Oh, Colonel, what an enchanting young lady you have with you this evening.
Thank you.
Well, who is she?
Oh, a cousin of mine, Aunt Higgins. Excuse me.
Such a far-away look, as if she has always lived in a garden.
So she has. A sort of garden.
Henry must take Eliza home at once. There's a language expert here, sort of Sort of impostrologist.
I beg your pardon? The young lady with Colonel Pickering. Find out who she is.
With pleasure.
The whole situation's highly explosive.
Tell me, Zoltan, some more about the Greek ambassador.
Gladly, Professor, but first, I would love you to introduce me to this glorious creature.
Does he really come from Yorkshire?
Her Majesty, the Queen of Transylvania, and His Royal Highness Prince Gregor.
Charming. Quite charming.
Miss Eliza, ma'am.
Miss Doolittle, my son would like to dance with you.
Absolutely fantastic.
What a lot of tomfoolery.
It was an immense achievement.
Well, Mr. Higgins.
A triumph, Mrs. Pierce. A total triumph. Higgins, you were superb. Absolutely superb. Tell us the truth now. Weren't you a little bit nervous once or twice?
No, not for a second.
Not for the whole evening?
Well, from the moment I saw we're going to win hands down, I felt like a bear in a cage, hanging about with nothing to do.
It was an immense achievement.
If I hadn't backed myself to do it, I would have given it up 2 months ago.
Absolutely fantastic.
What a lot of tomfoolery.
Higgins, I salute you.
Oh, silly people don't know their own silly business.
You should get a medal, or be even made a knight.
Oh, it was nothing. Really nothing.
All alone, you hurled every obstacle in sight.
Now wait. Give credit where it's due. A lot of the glory goes to you.
I must have aged a year tonight. At times, I thought I died of fright. Never was there a momentary lull.
Shortly after we came in, I saw at once we'd easily win. And after that, I found it deadly dull.
You should have heard the oohs and ahs. Everyone wondering who she was.
You'd think they'd never seen a lady before.
And when the Prince of Transylvania asked to meet her and gave his arm to lead her to the floor,
Thank goodness for Zoltan Carpathy. If it hadn't been for him, I would have died of boredom.
Carpathy? That dreadful Hungarian? Was he there?
Yes, he was. And up to his old tricks. That blackguard who uses the science of speech more to blackmail and swindle than teach. He made it the devilish business of his to find out who this Miss Eliza Doolittle is. Every time we looked around, there he was, that hairy hound from Budapest, never leaving us alone. Never have I ever known a ruder pest. Finally I decided it was foolish not to let him have his chance with her, so I stepped aside and let him dance with her. Oozing charm from every pore, he oiled his way around the floor. Every trick that he could play, he used to strip her mask away. When at last the dance was done, he glowed as if he knew he won, and with a voice too eager and a smile too broad, he announced to the hostess that she was a fraud.
No.
Yahoo! Her English is too good, he said. That clearly indicates she is foreign. Whereas others are instructed in their native language, English people aren't. And although she may have studied with an expert dialectician and grammarian, I can tell she was born Hungarian. Not only Hungarian, but of royal blood. She is a princess. Her blood, he says, is bluer than the Danube is or ever was. Royalty is absolutely written on her face. She thought that I was taken in, but actually I never was. How could she deceive another member of her race? I know each language on the map, said he, and she's Hungarian as the first Hungarian Rhapsody. Well, thank God that's over. Now I can go to bed without dreading tomorrow.
Good night, Mr. Higgins.
Good night, Mrs. Pierce.
I think I'll turn in too. Good night, Higgins. It's been a great occasion.
Good night, Pickering. Oh, Mrs. Pierce. Oh, damn. I meant to ask her to give me coffee in the morning instead of tea. Leave a little note for her, Eliza, and put out the lights. Left it downstairs. Oh, darn it, I'll leave my head behind one of these days. What the devil have I done with my slippers?
Here are your slippers. Dare and dare. Take your slippers and may you never have a day's luck with them.
What on earth? What's the matter? Is anything wrong?
No, nothing wrong with you. I've won your bet for you, haven't I? That's enough for you. I don't matter, I suppose.
You won my bet, you presumptuous insect. I won it. What did you throw those slippers at me for?
Because I wanted to smash your face. I could kill you, you selfish brute. Why didn't you leave me where you picked me out of the gutter? You thank God it's all over, and now you can throw me back in there, do you?
Oh, so the creature's nervous after all. Claws in, you cat! How dare you show your temper to me? Sit down and be quiet.
What's to become of me? What's to become of me?
How the devil do I know what's to become of you? What does it matter what becomes of you?
You don't care. I know you don't care. You wouldn't care if I was dead. I'm nothing to you. Not as much as them slippers.
Those slippers.
Those slippers. I didn't think it made any difference now.
Why have you begun going on like this? May I ask if you complain of your treatment here? Has anybody behaved badly? Colonel Pickering? Mrs. Pierce?
No.
Well, you don't pretend that I have treated you badly.
No.
No, I am glad to hear that. Perhaps you're tired after the strain of the day. Would you have a chocolate?
No. Thank you.
Well, it's only natural that you should be anxious. But it's all over now. Nothing more to worry about.
No, nothing more for you to worry about. Oh God, I wish I was dead.
Why? In heaven's name, why? Now listen to me, Eliza. All this irritation is purely subjective.
I don't understand. I'm too ignorant.
It's just imagination. Nothing's wrong. Nobody's hurting you. Now you go to bed and sleep it off. Have a cry and say your prayers. You'll feel very much more comfortable.
I heard your prayers. Thank God it's all over.
Well, don't you thank God it's all over. Now you're free and can do what you like.
What am I fit for? What have you left me fit for? Where am I to go? What am I to do? What's to become of me?
Oh, that's what's worrying you, is it? Oh, I wouldn't worry about it if I were you. I'm sure you won't have any difficulty in settling yourself somewhere or other. I hadn't quite realized you were going away. You might marry, you know. You see, Eliza, all men are not confirmed old bachelors like me and the Colonel. Most men are the marrying sort. Poor devils. Anyway, you're not bad looking. You're really quite a pleasure to look at sometimes. Well, not now, of course. When you've been crying, you look like the very devil. But I mean when you're all right and quite yourself. You're what I would call attractive. Now you go to bed and have a good night's rest, and then get up in the morning and have a look at yourself in a glass. You won't feel so bad. My mother might find some fellow or other who'd do very well.
We were above that at Covent Garden.
What do you mean?
I sold flowers. I didn't sell myself. Now you've made a lady of me. I'm not fit to sell anything else.
Oh, tosh, Eliza. Don't insult human relations by dragging all that cant about buying and selling into it. You don't have to marry the fella if you don't want to.
What else am I to do?
Oh, lots of things. What about the old idea of a florist shop? I'm sure Pickering would set you up in one. He's got lots of money. He paid for all those togs you're wearing tonight. And that, with the hire of jewelry, would make a big hole in £200. Oh, come on now, you'll be all right. Well, I must be off to bed. I'm really devilish sleepy. I was looking for something. What was it?
Your slippers.
Oh, yes, of course. You shied them at me.
Before you go, sir, do my clothes belong to me or to Colonel Pickering?
Why would you bother about that in the middle of the night?
I want to know what I may take away with me. I don't want to be accused of stealing.
Stealing? You shouldn't have said that, Eliza. That shows a want of feeling.
I'm sorry. I'm only a common ignorant girl, and in my station, I have to be careful. There can't be any feelings between the likes of you and the likes of me. Please, will you tell me what belongs to me and what doesn't?
Take the whole damned houseful if you want. Except the jewelry, that's hired.
Stop, please. Will you take these to your room and keep them safe? I don't want to run the risk of them being missed.
Hand them over. If these belong to me and not the jeweler, I'd ram them down your ungrateful throat.
The ring is in the jeweler's. It's the one you bought me in Brighton. I don't want it now.
Huh.
Don't you hit me!
Hit you? You infamous creature! How dare you suggest such a thing? It is you who have hit me. You have wounded me to the heart.
I'm glad I've got a little bit back of my own anyhow.
You have caused me to lose my temper. A thing that has hardly ever happened to me before. I don't wish to discuss it any further. I am going to bed.
You'd better leave your own note for Mrs. Pierce about the coffee, for it won't be done by me.
Damn Mrs. Pierce, damn the coffee, and damn you! And damn my own folly for having lavished my hard-earned knowledge and the treasure of my regard on a heartless gutter-snipe.
Do you mean to say that after you'd done this wonderful thing for them, without making a single mistake, they just sat there and never said a word to you? Never petted or admired you? Or told you how splendid you'd been?
Not a word. They just sat there congratulating each other on how marvelous they had been. And the next moment, on how glad they were it was all over and what a bore it had all been.
This is simply appalling. I too would have thrown my slippers at him.
What's that?
Henry, I knew it wouldn't be too long. Remember, you not only danced with the prince last night, you behaved like a princess.
Mother, the most confounded thing, You?
Good afternoon, Professor Higgins. Are you quite well?
Am I?
Of course you are. You are never ill. Would you care for some tea?
Don't you dare try that game on me. I taught it to you. Now you get up and come home. And stop being a fool. You've caused me enough trouble for one morning.
Very nicely put indeed, Henry. No woman could resist such an invitation.
Well, how did the baggage get here in the first place?
Eliza came to see me this morning, and I was delighted to have her. And if you don't promise to behave yourself, then I must ask you to leave.
What? Do you mean to say that I'm to put my Sunday manners for this thing? That I created out of the squashed cabbage leaves of convent garden?
That's precisely what I mean.
Then I'll see her damned first.
However, did you learn good manners with my son around?
It was very difficult. I should have never known how ladies and gentlemen behave if it hadn't been for Colonel Pickering. He always showed me what he felt and thought about me as if I was something better than a common flower girl. You see, Mrs. Higgins, apart from the things one can pick up, the difference between a lady and a flower girl is not how she behaves, but how she's treated. I shall always be a flower girl, Professor Higgins, because he always treats me as a flower girl and always will. But I know I shall always be a lady to Colonel Pickering because he always treats me as a lady and always will.
Henry, don't grind your teeth. I'll have to go to meet the bishop. Eliza, if my son starts breaking up things, I give you full permission to have him evicted. Henry, dear, I suggest you stick to 2 subjects, the weather and your health.
Well, you've had a bit of your own back, as you call it. Now, have you had enough, or are you going to be reasonable? Or do you want any more?
You want me back only to pick up your slippers and put up with your tempers and fetch and carry for you.
Now, I didn't say I wanted you back at all.
Oh, indeed. Then what are we talking about?
Well, about you, not about me. If you come back, you'll be treated as you've always been treated. I can't change my nature, and I don't intend to change my manners. My manners are exactly the same as Colonel Pickering's.
That's not true. He treats a flower girl as if she were a duchess.
Well, I treat a duchess as if she's a flower girl.
Oh, I see. The same to everybody.
You talk about me as though I were a motor bus.
So you are a motor bus. All bounce and go and no consideration for anybody. But I can get along without you. Don't you think I can't?
I know you can. I told you you could. You've never wondered, I suppose, whether I could get along without you?
Don't you try to get around me. You'll have to.
So I can. Without you or any soul on earth. I shall miss you, Eliza. I've learned something from your idiotic notions. I confess that, humbly and gratefully.
Well, you have my voice on your gramophone. When you feel lonely without me, you can turn it on. It has no feelings to hurt.
Well, I can't turn your soul on.
Oh, you're a devil. You can twist the heart in a girl just as easily as someone can twist her arms to hurt her. What am I to come back for?
For the fun of it. That's why I took you on.
And you may throw me out tomorrow if I don't do everything you want me to?
Yes, and you may walk out tomorrow if I don't do everything you want me to.
And live with my father?
Yes, or sell flowers. Or would you rather marry Pickering?
I would marry you if you asked me, and you are nearer my age than what he is.
Than he is.
I talk as I like. You're not my teacher now. That's not what I want, and don't you think it is? I've always had chaps enough wanting me that day. Freddie Hill writes me twice and 3 times a day. Sheets and sheets.
Oh, in short, you want me to be as infatuated about you as he is? Is that it?
No, I don't. That's not the sort of feeling I want from you. I want a little kindness. I know I'm a common ignorant girl and you're a book-learned gentleman, but I'm not dirt under your feet. What I did was not for the taxis and the dresses, but because we were pleasant together. And I came to care for you. And not forgetting the difference between us, but more friendly-like.
Well, of course, that's how I feel. And Pickering feels. Eliza, you're a fool.
That's not the proper answer to give me. Oh, I can't talk to you. You always turn everything against me. I'm always in the wrong. But don't be too sure that you have me under your feet to be trampled on and talked down. I'll marry Freddie, I will, as soon as I'm able to support him.
Freddie? That poor devil who couldn't even get a job as an errand boy? Even if he had the guts to try for it. Woman, don't you understand? I've made you a concert for a king.
Freddie loves me. That makes him king enough for me. I don't want him to work. He wasn't brought up to it as I was. I'll go and be a teacher.
What would you teach in heaven's name?
What you taught me. I'll teach phonetics.
Ha ha ha!
I'll offer myself as an assistant to that brilliant Hungarian.
What? That impostor? That Hamburg? That toading ignoramus? Teach him my methods, my discoveries. You take one step in that direction, and I'll wring your neck, you hear?
Wring away, why do I care? I knew you'd strike me one day. Ah, that's done, you Henry Higgins, it has. Now I don't care for your bullying and your big talk. What a fool I was. What a dominated fool to think you were the earth and the sky.
You impudent hussy. There's not an idea in your head or a word in your mouth that I haven't put there. By George, I really did it. I did it. I said I'd make a woman, and indeed I did. I knew that I could do it. I knew it. I said I'd make a woman, and succeed I did. Eliza, you're magnificent. 5 minutes ago, you were a milestone around my neck. And now, you're a tower of strength. I like you this way.
Goodbye, Professor Higgins. You shall not be seeing me again.
Mother! Mother!
What is it, Henry? What's happened?
She's gone.
Well, of course, dear. What did you expect?
Well, what am I to do?
Do without, I suppose.
And so I shall. If the Higgins oxygen burns up her little lungs, let her seek some stuffiness that suits her. She's an owl sickened by a few days of my sunshine. Very well, let her go. I can do without her. I can do without anyone. I have my own soul, my own spark of divine fire. Damn. I've grown accustomed to her face. She almost makes the day begin. I've grown accustomed to the tune that she whistles night and noon. Her smiles, her frowns, her ups, her downs are second nature to me now, like breathing out and breathing in. I was serenely independent and content before we met. Surely I could always be that way again, and yet I've grown accustomed to her looks, accustomed to her voice, accustomed to her face. Marry Freddie! Ah! But I'm so used to hear her say, good morning every day. Her joys, her woes, her high, her lows are second nature to me now, like breathing out and breathing in. I'm very grateful she's a woman and so easy to forget. Rather like a habit, one can always break. And yet, I've grown accustomed to the trace of something in the air, accustomed to her face.
I washed my face and hands before I come, I did.
Eliza? Now where the devil are my slippers?